Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I would like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Grandstream. Today's host is Phil Bowers, and he is their Director of Marketing and will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Phil will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Phil, thank you so much for being with us here at Microcom today. We greatly appreciate it, as always. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
All right, thanks, Julie, and welcome. Great to see everyone again. Good morning or good afternoon, I guess, to if any of you are out on the East Coast. Excited to be here. As always, you know, we do these recurring webinars just about once a quarter, and I always look forward to it. And today we've got a really cool, frankly, a brand new topic or a brand new product category for Grandstream to tell you about. And that is our new series of managed network switches. And it starts off with the GWN 7800 series that you see here on the screen right now. This GWN 7800 series is the first series of managed network switches that we have ever released here at Grandstream. And as we go throughout the webinar, specifically later on today or in the presentation, I will show you the massive portfolio of network switches in addition to the 7800 series that we are going to launch here within the next couple of months. Within the next 1 to 4 to 5 to 6 months, you're going to see a lot more a lot more network switches from us. This GWN 7800 series is just the first series. These are layer 2+ managed network switches. And again, they're fully available, were released in the beginning of December, and thus far we've been getting some great feedback, some great responses. They've been big sellers for us and many of our partners here throughout the first couple of months of 2023. So anyway, today's webinar, pretty light topic, honestly. Going to tell you about the GWN 7800 series. Obviously, you know, being network switches, we can probably get through that pretty fast. I only have about 15 slides here today, so should be able to get you in and out pretty fast while providing some really good info, not just on these devices, but some of the new ones that you're going to see here in the next couple of months from us. So before I get into the GWN 7800 series and Grandstream's network switches, I want to take a step back and you know, I think we probably started the last webinar I did this way as well, but just want to again, you know, talk about and really mention here our full GWN series of networking solutions. You know, Grandstream is historically known, and really what our business has been mainly up until the last 5 to 6 years has been on the unified communications, the VoIP side of the business. And just about 5 or 6 years ago, we basically brought it and hired a full in-house team to design a series of networking solutions to add to our portfolio. You know, our mission here at Grandstream has always been to be that one-stop solutions provider, to be able to provide every hardware product and every management product you need or that anyone needs for a full communication or IT solution. And really the addition of the GWN series and is really one of the final parts of that. And really to show you how popular these devices have become. These are our fastest growing product line. The GWN series has been for the last 4 years now. We've grown this product category at least 200% globally every year for the last 3 years, for the last 4 years. And like it says there, it is our fastest growing product line. It's really becoming one of the core really facets of our business. And you know, to kind of show you that, I'm going to talk about all these new network switches we got coming out this year, but our GWN series is approaching, by the end of the year, we'll have somewhere between 40 or 50 different products in it. Wi-Fi access points, Wi-Fi routers, wired routers, network switches, a bunch of different varieties. management platforms, the whole 9 yards, everything you're going to need for a networking solution. And kind of, what allows our devices or our GWN series to stand out so much, and really why it's become so popular, is mainly, I think, the four main reasons. Actually, there's a couple of additional ones, but the main stuff is what you see here on the screen of why these devices have become so popular and what we're hearing from our channel. And the first thing, and really, if you ever can remember just, or have to remember just one thing about the GWN series, this free management is really the main thing. This is one of our biggest differentiators within this space. Not only do we offer 3 fully free management platforms, but they are all of a different type. So it basically gives you a cloud option, on-premise software, and then also the web user interface for each device that all can be used to set up and manage entire networks of other GWN series devices. GWN Cloud is the most popular. I'd say about 80–85% of our users are using GWN Cloud. You can sign up for that at gwn.cloud. That's the URL. Fully free, enterprise grade Wi-Fi management, network management platform. No limit on devices or sites, and it's based off Amazon Web Services. GWN Manager is the software, on-premise software version of GWN Cloud, and then all of our devices have built-in controllers, embedded managers. Those are some of the other terms you'll see us use for that. But that just enables all of the GWN products to have a management platform within their web user interface to set up and control other or full networks of other Grandstream GWN devices. All of our solutions are very easy to install. Just scan barcodes on the devices with, it says the GWN Cloud app. We've actually renamed that the GWN app. And that is a mobile interface that allows you to set up, control, configure, and then manage from anywhere all of your GWN solutions just from that mobile app. We have, like I mentioned a moment ago, where frankly, we have now a very large portfolio of all the devices you're going to need for a networking solution. Wi-Fi routers. We're soon going to have wired routers. We've got about 15 to 20 different Wi-Fi access points at this point. We've got all of the network switches I'm going to talk about here today. We're in development of P2P, point-to-point and point-to-multi-point solutions as well. And then, as I mentioned, we have all the management you need for all of that. And to tap on, or to kind of add on top of that, everything gives you the ability through all of our management platforms, through all of the devices user interfaces, the ability to set up and manage and receive real-time monitoring, alerts, reports, active troubleshooting, maintenance, active maintenance tasks, all that type of stuff that can be fully set up, customized, and configured through any of the management platforms or through the devices themselves. One other thing that's not on this screen that I want to mention, one other thing that's not on the screen I wanted to mention, just wanted to see if it was on the next slide. What I think one of the other great things about our GWN series, including these network switches we're talking about here today, every GWN series device has a 3-year warranty. That is essentially a market-leading warranty. Most of the other companies that compete in this space with similar products are going to give you 6, 12, or 18 months at the most, and we're going basically double what you're going to find as on the higher end from anybody else. So really just shows you how much we believe in these products, how stable they have proven to be, that we are fully willing to and publicly offer a 3-year manufacturer's warranty on these devices. All right, so little GWN series introduction there. And now let's get into the network switches that we're going to talk about here today. The GWN 7800 series, these are layer 2 plus managed network switches. I'll show you later on. We are within the next month going to also launch a full series of unmanaged network switches. And then when we get later on towards June, July, the summertime, we have a whole different or a whole bunch of layer 3 plus switches and multi-gig switches that are coming as well. So within the next couple of months, we're really going to have pretty much every type of network switch you might need or your customers might need. Obviously, you know, I gave the intro talking about networking solutions, but as I'm sure everybody here is very familiar with. You know, network switches are pretty much needed for almost any type of technology, communication, or information technology deployment. You know, I could have spent, you know, obviously you're going to see it on the next slide, but IP phones, video surveillance, facility access, in addition to, you know, your Wi-Fi and your wired networks. Pretty much any communication, any IT platform needs usually a lot of network switches, actually. So again, we'll soon have everything in addition to these layer 2 plus managed switches. But these devices that you see here, 7800 series, fully available right now, launched in early December. Seen some, you know, great sales numbers so far throughout the first quarter of the year, specifically in North America with these. And I'll basically, the next couple of slides here, I'll go through with you basically to break down the models and to kind of highlight the major features of these devices. There are 6 models within this GWN 7800 series. There are 3 models with PoE and there are 3 models without PoE. There's basically a 8, 16, and 24 port option. Actually, 8, 16, or 24 port option here. They're all gigabit ports. And then you're either going to also get 2 or 4 gigabit SFP or fiber ports built onto these devices. You can see the bottom 2 there, which is the 7802 and the 7803 models, are going to give you the 4 SFP ports, whereas the 8 model, or the 8 port model, the 7801, will give you 2 gigabit SFP ports. Fully managed, these devices are fully managed via, it's got an embedded controller, just like all of our, or manager is probably the better term for switches, embedded manager within its web user interface that allows these switches to manage themselves. These switches can also be managed with the other management platforms I mentioned just a moment ago, GWN Cloud, our cloud platform, or GWN Manager, the on-premise software network manager. One of the best things about these devices is it has built-in QoS, which, you know, obviously I think you'll find a lot of them anymore have some type of QoS built into it. But where I think we stand out on the QoS side is that we've been working with QoS for over 20 years now because of our history in VoIP. So we believe that we have one of the strongest QoS algorithms and setups really in the industry. And we've taken that over from, you know, our history on the VoIP side of things, our unified communication platforms, moved it over to here to give you the ability to really have full control over the traffic and the processing power of these switches to prioritize certain types of traffic, certain connections, certain IPs, all of that type of stuff. So really solid and really powerful QoS built into it, which again is we believe is one of our big differentiators, is the strength of our QoS algorithm. Another thing to mention with these switches is that they do support both IP version 4 and IP version 6 deployments. They also can be used to kind of give you a transition from an IP version 4 to an IP version 6 network, in that they can support both of those protocols. So again, 6 different models within this series. I'm going to skip that slide and come back to it in a second. 3 different models: 7801, 7802, 7803, and then there's a version of each one of those. The ones that have P at the end of the model name are the ones that offer power over Ethernet or PoE ports. So 7801 gives you 8 gigabit ports. It gives you 2 of the SFP fiber ports that I mentioned, 20 gigs per second switching capacity, and it is built with its size to be mounted on a desktop. And then there's the 7801P, which just makes each of those gigabit ports PoE ports with 120 watt max PoE power. In the middle there, the 7802, that's going to give you 16 gigabit ports. It's going to give you the 4 SFP fiber ports, 40 gigs per second switching and capacity. This device can be mounted both on a desktop and rack mountable. The 7802 and 7803 are both rack mountable. They obviously can be just placed on a desktop as well. And then like the 7801 and the 7801P, 7802P just makes all of those 16 ports PoE ports, 240 watt max PoE power. And the 7802P and 7803P both have integrated fans built into them. Then we move up to the 7803, 24 ports, 4 fiber ports, 56 gigs per second switching capacity. Again, both desktop and rack mountable. And then the 7803P just makes those 24 ports PoE ports, 360 watts max PoE power, and the integrated fan. So like I mentioned a moment ago, you know, these switches are pretty much used and needed for almost any type of deployment, any type of technology, IT, communications technology deployment these days. And, you know, IP phones, Wi-Fi, APs and routers, IP surveillance systems, intercom systems, facility access systems, voice and video conferencing systems, the whole 9 yards. So, you know, really, again, I'm sure everybody knows this, but very versatile device. And one thing I do want to point out about this, actually, I think I missed the main thing I wanted to talk about here. And so the cool thing about these switches for us is that they are really the completion of the Grandstream solution. We've been having our partners, resellers, customers basically ask us to make switches for quite a long time, to be honest with you. We didn't want to just quickly, you know, develop and push out to the market, you know, a pretty basic device. We wanted to really design a whole series of switches, which the 7800 is the first part of, that were, you know, that were very competitive on the open market in terms of the features that they offer, the pricing that they offer, and also their compatibility. So, you know, though I'm saying that these devices are the completion of the Grandstream solution, really the one thing that the one thing that was missing that would allow you to create a full end-to-end management all the way out to the endpoint devices solution with just Grandstream products. But with that said, I do want to point out that all of our switches, including the GWN 7800 series, are compatible with all brands and all devices. They're not just for Grandstream solutions or Grandstream products. They are compatible with all brands. But again, you know, for us, one of the cool things about this is really it being the final piece of the Grandstream solution that we think we were previously missing. So that's another reason why, you know, I think our channel's been so excited about these. But again, they do work with any brand of device. So in terms of, just to kind of actually beginning to kind of walk us toward the end of the webinar here already, just going to go through some more technical features here that these 7800 series offer. Going to wrap up with 2 slides that kind of give you a sneak peek of some solutions new solutions we're going to launch here in the next couple of months, and then we'll wrap up. So it should be about 10-15 minutes more at the most. So in terms of the management, I'm actually going to go to this slide. We mentioned this earlier in the webinar, so don't have to go through a ton of details. But again, you know, one of the best things about our GWN series is the 3 different free management platforms that we offer. GWN Cloud on the left, that is the most popular. Like I mentioned, our own numbers show about 80% of our GWN user base, or 80% of deployed GWN devices are being managed by GWN Cloud. URL is just gwn.cloud. It's fully free. There are no limit on the amount of devices or sites that you can manage with this. It also has a mobile app, the GWN app that I mentioned earlier, also can be accessed obviously from the web, based on or built in Amazon Web Services. So, you know, gives you that full reliability, gives you the ability to do secure cloud provisioning and management of GWN devices anywhere, on any location, on any network. And again, fully free. There's no like tiered plans or anything like that. There's not a free version and then another version that you got to pay for that, you know, might have more features. We literally, throughout all of these management platforms, they're fully free, and we're giving you everything we can. There's no tiered plans or anything like that. So GWN Manager in the middle, like I mentioned earlier, that is the software version of GWN Cloud. It takes everything from GWN Cloud, packages it in a Windows-based software that you can run, really designed for local server, on-network, on-premise deployments, allows you to manage up to 3,000 Grandstream GWN devices with GWN Manager. GWN Manager is also compatible with that GWN app that I mentioned, so it does also allow you to control, manage, add devices, scan barcodes to add devices to GWN Manager in the same way you can with GWN Cloud. And then it says, again, it says embedded controller. I meant to change that to embedded manager, which is usually the better term for a switch, but all of these switches can manage themselves. There is, like we have with our access points, full embedded management software and platform built into the web user interface that's fully free to access. There's nothing you got to do to upgrade to access it. It's, again, fully free, built into the web user interface, and allows the switches to manage themselves. So 3 great options, not just for managing your Grandstream networking deployments, but also specifically what we're talking about here today, 3 great options to manage these network switches, either a cloud option, on-premise software, or the user interface of the switches themselves. A couple other things that I do want to mention about the management features of the device. Does also support common networking tools, ping, traceroute, copper test, for example. Does support, yeah, there's something specific I was looking for here. It might be on another slide, but does support command line interface. I know that's always pretty popular question with switches. Yeah, so we'll keep going there. But again, the main thing with the management are those 3 different options. Also have command line interface. Also have the port. The name is escaping me. I think it's on another slide, but historically switches have a port that you're able to connect a PC or a computer into and manage it directly through that port. These products also have that port. I'm not quite sure why I can't remember the name of that right now. I thought it was going to be on the slide, but anyway, let's keep it going here. In terms of PoE, like I mentioned, the models that offer PoE ports are the 3 that end in the letter P: 7801P, 7802P, 7803P. 8, 16, or 24 ports. Does give you the dynamic PoE plus power allocation per port, really giving you kind of like the ability for the device to adjust and manage itself based on the power needs of the devices connected to it. Again, does support both PoE and PoE plus, and does give you 30 watts max output per PoE port, which is pretty competitive compared to other brands of devices. So in terms of the security, protection, and encryption, got a whole slide here to mention a lot of that. We could probably have a whole nother webinar just to talk about the security features and functionality built into our GWN series devices. You've got packet filtering based up there on the top, based off of a whole bunch of different components, including packet filtering per port. You've got a whole bunch of different 802.1x radius, AAA, Tactics Plus authentication to, basically to authenticate the devices on the network to confirm and ensure security, ARP inspection, IP source guard, DOS protection, land attack, Smurf attack, ping flooding. We do with these devices give you the ability to support port security as well, which allows you to prevent MAC address attacks, really control the network traffic of every single port with that port security, DHCP snooping, static and dynamic MAC table with MAC table filtering as well. So really gives you, with these layer 2 plus switches, pretty much everything you would be used to from other layer 2 plus switches in terms of the control that it gives you, plus a little bit extra, specifically with some of these security features that we have built into it. In terms of the switching capability of the devices, supports 8K static dynamic and filtering of MAC addresses, 4K VLANs. This device has full VLAN support and a virtual VLAN interface, as it mentions there. Supports up to 8 link aggregation groups. In talked about this earlier, so I can get through this pretty quick. But again, we have developed a very strong QoS algorithm over the years because we've been working with QoS for over 20 years. And some of the specific QoS features and functionalities that you have here right now with these devices: port priority, priority mapping, queue scheduling, traffic shaping, rate limit. And very soon, this actually, I believe, is going to be available here within the next couple of weeks in a new firmware update. We will also be adding the ability for these devices to auto detect and prioritize voice, video, data, and other latency sensitive packets, giving you the full control to have the device manage those, prioritize those as you wish. So that last bullet point there, again, the auto detection and prioritization of voice, video, and other apps and latency sensitive packets will be available here very soon. I mentioned this earlier. Again, this, one of the things that we're really excited about these switches for is it is the completion of our solution. Gives you the ability to have and install a full Grandstream solution all the way from the management platform all the way to the endpoints with these network switches. Really, again, being pretty much one of the main things I think our full solution was missing that we now have. But again, like I mentioned earlier, these devices do support and work with any brand of endpoint device. In terms of deployment scenarios, like we keep saying, this is an easy one. Pretty much everybody needs switches. Any IT, any communications, any voice and video platform is going to need switches, and that pretty much makes up every type of business. Obviously, enterprises, small to medium-sized businesses, hotels and convention centers, schools, universities, healthcare, call centers. The ones mentioned here are really ideal for layer 2+ switches, ones that are gonna, deployments that are gonna need a little bit more control or the ability to kind of control what's going through their switches and what's going through their networks. Whereas we'll soon have these unmanaged switches, which I think are gonna be really ideal for more kind of basic or small office usage or home usage, and we'll have those layer 3+ switches, which are going to be ideal for, we'll say, state-of-the-art or really large networks that are, need security, enterprises, healthcare, banks, just to name a few, with those layer 3+ switches that will be available in the next couple of months. All right, so that actually was pretty much everything I had prepared here for the GWN 7800 series. I'm just going to go back to that before we, actually, no, stay on this slide. Yeah, so pretty much everything I had prepared to tell you about here today with those GWN 7800 series switches. Again, layer 2+ network switches. They were initially launched in December and are fully available right now. To wrap us up here, just 2 more slides. I want to give you guys, and I keep mentioning it, I think I've mentioned almost everything here throughout today's webinar, but now we've got a slide to actually, put it in writing. Couple of things, some of the things that you can keep an eye out for that we will release here within the next 4 to 6 months is pretty much everything covered on here. And as you can see, we're really continuing to build out that GWN series to continue to build out a wide range of model offerings within each different device type, wireless access points, routers, Wi-Fi routers, network switches, point-to-point devices, point-to-multi-point devices. Pretty much building out each one of those to be able to provide a wide range of different devices to suit every need within those product categories. So some of the things you'll see here in the next couple of months: multi-WAN wired routers. There are 3 different models that will be launched in May is what we're currently targeting for that. We do currently have, and I think our last webinar was on our Wi-Fi routers. These multi-WAN wired routers will be kind of a new refreshed version of our GWN 7000, if anyone is familiar with that, which was a previous router we had. But anyway, 3 different multi-WAN wired routers will be released in May. We've got layer 3 switches that are currently planning to be launched in the month of June, could potentially go back to July. you're going to see some more Wi-Fi 6 access points from us. Actually, next month, you'll see 2 different ones that we're going to launch. One's going to be a Wi-Fi 6 version of our GWN 7624. For those of you not familiar with that model, that is the in-wall Wi-Fi access point that's really been a big seller for hotels. We'll have a Wi-Fi 6 version of that. We'll also have another, I'll call it more standard indoor Wi-Fi 6 access point coming out in the month of April, which I believe will up our Wi-Fi 6 access point total to close around 8 to 10 at the moment. Also have, I think we have about the same amount of Wi-Fi 5 access points. What's not written on here is we are also developing Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 access points. That's probably more for later in the year or next year. We have some Wi-Fi 6 routers that will be coming out in the summertime. I'm going to say July or August for those Wi-Fi 6 routers. That's in addition to the GWN 7062, which is our current Wi-Fi 6 router. The additional or the new Wi-Fi 6 routers coming out later this year will be more business grade, enterprise grade, whereas the current one is kind of more of a small office or home office device. And then we also have layer 3 plus multi-gigabit switches that are being developed. We expect to have those launched again, probably around the summertime. I'm going to say July, August timeframe. And so with that, and the switches I'm going to show you here on the next slide, specifically within the network switch category, by the end of the summer, we will have unmanaged switches, we will have layer 2 plus switches, we will have layer 3 switches, and we will have layer 3 multi-gig switches. All of that, will be fully launched by the end of the summer. And that's adding to the 7800 series that we talked about here today. All right, so last slide for me, and then we can wrap it up and take any questions that come in. But the last thing I have for you here today is the next new product that we are going to launch, and it is more network switches. These are unmanaged network switches, and these will be the GWN 7700 series. In total, this GWN 7700 series will have 15 different models by the time we're done launching all the models by the end of the summer. In April, we're going to launch 5 8-port models. I believe there will be about 4 or 5 of those 5 and 8-port unmanaged network switches. Through May, June, July, we have 16 and 24-port unmanaged switch models. We also have multi-gig 5 and 8-port models that will be launched in the May, June, July timeframe. So again, all of that put together, there's going to be about 15 models within the GWN 7700 series. Again, these are all unmanaged network switches, 5, 8, 16, or 24 ports. Again, being unmanaged switches are going to be, lower in price, really ideal for quick and easy or smaller deployments, small offices, basic deployments, whatnot. The way that we look at these switches is, it's really going to be a great way for us to just expand Grandstream's awareness within the network switch space. And like I mentioned, we're really trying to and are in the process of coming out with a switch for every type of need. And obviously these unmanaged network switches are right up there at the top, trying to compete with, the likes of TP-Link and whatnot. Jump into their market share, kind of gain some awareness within that switch marketplace to then also move everybody over to our other higher end switches and network GWN solutions. So keep an eye out for that. Current plan is to launch those 5 and 8-port unmanaged switch models in early to mid-April. And with that, that wraps up everything I had planned here for today. Again, was excited to tell you a little bit about these new GWN 7800 series, a whole new product category for us at Grandstream. But as I told you throughout the presentation, it's really a big point of emphasis. We have, well, off the top of my head, in addition to the 7800 series, we have, I want to say about 30 to, I'm just going to say 30, somewhere around 30 other switches that will be launched in the next couple of months. So really, again, a big focus for us, really also helping to push and drive the sales of our GWN networking solutions. Do want to say also, obviously within the channel, everybody and you guys all know us and are very experienced with us from the UC and the VoIP side of things. Just want to say we're not going anywhere. We're not stopping making any of that stuff. We're not stopping to support you. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff of new UC solutions, IP phones, UCMs, facility access solutions, a whole bunch of additional stuff in the pipeline, which you'll see probably towards the end of last year. But like I said, our whole vision is to be that one-stop solutions provider, and networking just adds another component to that, really the final component to allow you and anyone to build a complete communication and IT solution just with the Grandstream brand. All right, with that, I'll end my spiel and I'll turn it over to Julie, and we can take any questions.
Thank you so much, Phil, for that wonderful presentation. And of course, I do have some questions for you. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. For the GWN 7800, can I create a black and white list under an SID?
Yes, you can.
Excellent. Straight yes.
Yes, easy one. Black and white list.
Great. Okay, great. Next question. Does the GWN AP have a power adapter? Can it be powered by PoE or PoE Plus?
Yes, so it can be powered by PoE or PoE Plus. We do not ship our access points with power adapters. We do offer the ability for you to purchase power adapters. We do also sell PoE injectors. Obviously, the network switches they'll work with as well. But yeah, both do support both PoE and PoE Plus. No power adapters included. You can purchase one. We've got the PoE injectors, as I mentioned. There's a whole bunch of different ways to power them.
Excellent, thank you. Next question here. Can the bandwidth be controlled on the GWN 7800 series?
Absolutely, absolutely can, through the various management platforms, whether it be the user interface of the device, GWN Manager, GWN Cloud. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Next question here. Can you deploy firmware update to the connected devices of the GWN series? Yes,
you can.
Okay, great. Next question here regarding GWN 7800 again. What is the support warranty in terms of hardware? Like, excuse me, full replacement upon troubleshooting and it's a fault within the hardware?
Yeah, no, like all of the other GWN products we have, there are 3-year manufacturer warranties on these as well. So if what you just said happens, we'll RMA it and send out a new one. No problem.
Great, thank you so much. A few more questions here. Are all of the Grandstream switches PoE smart devices?
So these ones that we just talked about here today, the 7800 series are. My understanding, I don't believe that the unmanaged switches, the ones I showed at the end that are coming out in April, those ones will not be. But my understanding is the 7800 series, which are layer 2, and then all of the layer 3 plus switches we're going to come out with will support that.
Excellent, thank you. Next question. Are there any 48 port options?
Yeah, that is a great question. There is a 48 port model that is in development. I don't think I mentioned it here today. I believe it is a layer, it's either a layer, it might be both layer 2 and layer 3 48 ports. I would say August, September is probably what we're looking at for the release of those devices.
Excellent, thank you. You touched on this on the Cloud Manager. So the question is, how much is the Cloud Manager?
Fully free, and like I said, there's no like tiered plans or anything like that. There's not like a free version, and then if you want more features, you got to pay for it. There's one version, it's fully free. We give you everything we can with it, and really kind of show you how powerful and comprehensive it is. We offer, there's no limit on the amount of devices or sites that you can manage with GW on cloud, literally unlimited. So yeah, no, that is definitely, it's fully free, and it is a fully enterprise grade platform, nothing held back with that.
Excellent. Phil, thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone attending. If you have any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep, or you can email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And please remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Phil, thank you so much for being with us today. We greatly appreciate it. We will definitely touch base with you so that we can follow up with all the many great things that you mentioned are just around the corner. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Take care, everybody.